Good evening, guys, and happy Monday to all of your sunshiny faces. So guys, today I feel like I woke up sort of late. I also did not have as productive of a day as I really wanted to. I actually I mostly got to a lot of the things that I needed to. I washed a bunch of dishes because I had actually dirtied stuff yesterday from like cooking myself dinner, and I don't know, maybe it was from lunch or something like that too yesterday that I didn't clean up, and then I was like, I'll just get to it tomorrow. So I had a bunch of dishes to wash this morning. Then I ended up doing the dishes. Then later in the afternoon I did laundry. Then I ended up editing like around, I think I edited right before I ended up making dinner for everybody. So I got to like one video. And then I went and made dinner. I told you guys I was making those hot like ham and cheese sandwich sort of things, like sort of like appetizers. They're like the Hawaiian roll sliders, but because we had got such a great deal on ham, I could have just done regular like ham and cheese sandwiches, but I thought that would be kind of fun because like I haven't made them really for any like of our appetizer holidays. Like, you know, normally we do that for like the Super Bowl or, you know, New Year's or like Christmas Day. A lot of times we do like appetizer stuff. So like I said, we didn't mind doing any of that though, like this year. We haven't really done it, maybe like last year or the year before that. Like, I don't know when the last time I really made them was even. So I was like, that's a fun like dinner sort of thing that again we haven't made in a while. It's a little something a little different to switch up for dinner. And since only 3 people are eating it either, like a package of the Hawaiian rolls, it's 12 in a package, I think, so it's like 4 for each person. So I was like, that's fine. We still had 2 leftovers. You know, like I said, it's just something a little bit different. And since I got such a good deal on the ham and it was only ham that was on sale this week, I was like, that's cool. I'll just do that for dinner one day this week. So I ended up, like I said, doing that. Everybody really loved them, which was awesome. So, and again, it was something sort of fun to switch up for dinner so that it's not like, you know, the same sort of thing. And it wasn't too much required on my part, honestly. All I had to do was cut the bread, lay the ham and cheese down, and then melt butter and put a couple ingredients and mix it in with the butter and pour it over the top. I let it sit for a couple minutes. One recipe said to like leave it in the fridge for like an hour to something like that. Another one just said like, let it sit for like 10 minutes before you put it in. Like, you can do it while you're preheating the oven or whatever. So that's what I just ended up doing, and then threw it in the oven. And like I said, everybody said it tasted great. But I think it's to really get like the butter to like mix in with the bread sort of thing. And again, I was actually looking up a bunch of different recipes. You can do them where you use real like Dijon mustard. I use ground mustard. You can also do it where you do like the Dijon mustard inside of the sandwiches. Again, it sort of, you know, depends. There's also normally like done with poppy seeds over the top. We didn't have any, but I saw another recipe that did it with Parmesan cheese, so I just sprinkled a little Parmesan cheese over the top. So like I said, that was basically what we ended up doing for dinner. But I made that, and then afterwards I was like, okay, well, I did another video while I watched the Bulls game, which I was gonna watch in my bedroom. However, Bliss, she has done this a couple times now. I don't really know entirely what ended up happening, but I don't want to call her faker, but I think that she honestly genuinely was in some type of discomfort for a while, but then she goes on to being fine. This has happened like a couple times last summer, but today she was going to jump up on the like couch, and I was actually in the kitchen making myself dinner. I ended up making just chili cheese fries for myself, but I was in the kitchen like taking the fries out to put the chili and the cheese on top of it and then throw it back in the oven, because normally I cook the fries first and then just throw like half of a can of like chili, like, you know, canned chili, like the vegetarian kind, along with cheese over the top. And so I was doing that. I was actually in the fridge, so I didn't see what happened, but my mom and dad were both in the living room, and my dad said it sounded like the puppies, like one of the puppies yelped too, but apparently like at least maybe from like when I finally made it into the living room, sort of what happened was I think they were a little riled up and were like running around, and either they maybe bumped into Bliss or she was trying to get up onto the couch and stepped on one of them, or was trying to avoid them, and in turn ended up sort of hurting her paw, which has happened. Like I told you guys too, that one weird time over the summer where like she just wouldn't move and we were like freaking out and we're like, why won't she move? It wasn't like she never yelped or anything like that. Like she wasn't like in pain, but she was in some type of discomfort. And so like we helped her outside, and as soon as we got her outside, she was like totally fine, like walking around the backyard. She wasn't really like running, but she wasn't even like limping or anything like that. It was just really weird. And then once we brought her back inside, she was like semi-okay, but sort of just wanted to like lay down in the same spot. So then once we got her up again and moving, she was like totally fine. But like it was like when she wanted to lay down, it was really weird. Like then she wasn't okay. So again, we thought that like, oh my goodness, like is this the same thing that happened again? But like I said, so she ended up, like I said, either bumping into the puppies. It sounded like, you know, like I know she yelped. I don't know if one of them for sure yelped, but like they were again in the vicinity of where she was when it happened. And I know that she was trying to get onto the couch. And so then when she did, my dad, like, you know, again, she made noise for sure, and possibly one of the puppies. But since they were over there, my dad thought that like they were like getting into something, and like one of them ended up like yelping or barking at the other one. We didn't know if they were like, you know, getting into something, or, you know, like doing something to each other or something like that. So my dad was just sort of like, hey, like knock it off sort of thing. And she must have gotten freaked out too, maybe from that, or it was just because she was in some type of discomfort. But then she got up real fast, ran across the living room, ended up trying to jump onto another chair, and ended up like getting like either hurt or freaked out or something like that, yelped again, and then like wouldn't like move off of the couch. Then once we got her down, we laid blankets on the floor for her and was like, okay, Bliss, like, you know, this sort of happened before. We were wondering again if it was like her foot or her hip or something like that. So again, we like laid her down, you know, just like told her to like chill out, everything like that, after a little while. And then she was like pretty much okay. Like after maybe like 20 minutes or half an hour or something like that, she actually was totally fine, like perking her head up and like looking around at everything. And then Jack was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and take them outside. So he goes and takes her outside, and she is, well, actually no, I think I fed them first, because it was after 7 o'clock and the puppies were both freaking out because they wanted to eat. So I was like, okay, well, like I'll bring her food over to her. So she was just sort of like laying down, chilling on the floor, like really didn't want to like get up, but she was like rolling over like on her hip and like her side and stuff like that. And again, like wasn't like licking her leg or anything like that, like wasn't again a problem. But again, since I was like, okay, it's after 7 o'clock, which is when I normally feed the dogs, I'll just at least feed the puppies, bring Bliss her food over by her where she is. So I ended up doing that, but she like got all excited, wanted to get up, and came over by the gate and sat there waiting for her food, which is what she normally does. And so I was like, okay, but like, you know, I told Jack, like, watch her, don't let her like jump up or anything like that in case, you know, she is still like in pain or she did something or whatever. But again, was totally fine, ate her food all normal. Then went sort of laid down a little bit. Then Jack ended up taking her outside and just like had her on a leash though, so that she couldn't run if she wanted to. But she was totally fine, like went to the bathroom normal, was again walking around outside totally fine. She, like Jack said, she was a little slow, but like she wasn't like, again, like in any really type of discomfort. She just wasn't like running and sprinting around the backyard like she normally does. And so again, we brought her back inside, and then ever since then she actually has not wanted to lay down anymore. She wants to like get up, she's like walking around, she's trying to get into things, just like typical normal Bliss always wants to do. So yeah, anyways guys, that's why it was a whole thing of like nobody wanted to leave her side, because we were like, is she okay? Like, you know, we were sort of freaking out. I have no clue, like I said, if her nervousness too just happened, like again, maybe she ended up doing something, because what my dad said was it almost looked like she like sort of rolled on her foot more, not so much that like it was her hip or anything like that. Because again, from like my point of view, when I looked in the living room when I heard her yelp, it was that the puppies were sort of gathered around underneath her. like, again, either one of them bumped into her or were running underneath her, or again, she was trying to avoid them, maybe stepped on one of them, or again, when she did, like, rolled up on, like, her own foot or something like that and ended up maybe, like, pulling something or ended up somehow hurting herself because she did yelp because of it. But then again, like, when we got her up and off of the chair, finally, like, the second time, she was, like, walking around pretty much fine, and never yelped again and didn't have any problems walking or anything like that. So, again, we don't entirely know like what the issue was today, but we were all sort of freaked out thinking it was the exact same thing that like happened before when, like I said, she like wouldn't move and we couldn't figure out why, and we were like, oh my goodness, like what's wrong? This time it seemed like she wanted to move. We were just trying to not let her move so again we could, you know, like let her sort of heal a little bit, and again, like, so that she wasn't, you know, again, if she was in discomfort, she wasn't continuously like causing problems for herself. But after again giving it about 20 to 30 minutes, she was totally fine again. So I don't, you know, but we were just all sort of freaked out at the same time. So everybody was like, okay, let's like all huddle in the living room and like, you know, sort of watch her and take care of her and stuff like that, and like bringing her water dish and again all that kind of stuff. But Jack is like, I'm gonna sleep in the living room with her because that's what Matthew did the last time. And I was like, I honestly think that she's pretty much okay and fine, and you know, there's no problem. But like, again, I think that something happened maybe when she tried to jump up onto the couch, and again, I think that it had you know, something to do too with the puppies. But we were just all concerned because she was like sort of panting a lot, like almost like freaked out, like nervous. And it could have been because, like I said, my dad was like, you know, like sort of yelled because he thought that they were like, you know, doing something or got into something, or one of them ended up like hurting another, you know, like the other one or something like that. And so that's why he was like, hey, knock it off, you know, and just like immediately, like that was his first reaction to what he saw, because the puppies were also near her when it happened. And so that's why like she could have been freaked out because my dad, like, you know, like thought that she did something wrong when she didn't, and it was just because that she was like in pain. And so then when she jumped on the second couch and she yelped again, I think that, like, you know, like made the situation worse too, because she thought like, oh my gosh, like I'm not supposed to be jumping up on the couch or something like that. Like that's why she got yelled at maybe. And so yeah, I don't know what it was, but she, like I said, is like has been pretty much totally fine since, and has been able to like walk around. She's not in pain or anything like that. But like I said, I think that she like rolled on her like foot or something like that, or again like tripped on one of the puppies, or you know, something along those lines, and neither of them seemed to be in any type of discomfort. But like I said, it was a little bit like, you know, we were like freaked out because she was so freaked out. But as far as like her pain level or discomfort, it doesn't really seem like any of that, which is good. So yeah, but it was just a whole thing. So that's why I was gonna come back in here and get a second video edited today. I ended up not, but I told you guys too, it was sort of the exact same thing that happened like over the summer, and we called her a big faker because it was, you know, like she like was doing it seemed like for attention, because I think like Matthew was home or something like that, and so like we were like sort of joking around that she just did it because like Matthew was home and like she wanted attention from him or something. But yeah, so that's why, like I said, it seemed very similar to that, but it's not to the same extent. Like I think again, like because she was able to like squat when she went to the bathroom and everything, which mean, you know, like everybody was like, well then it's not her hips most likely, because she was able to do that fine without any discomfort. So, you know, and again, like it wasn't nearly as bad as like the last time, but it was the same thing too, like literally after about a couple hours. The last time she was fine. This time it was like no more than really an hour and she was okay. So yeah, anyways guys, but it was just one of those things where like we needed to monitor the situation after the fact to make sure that like nothing else was happening. She wasn't in any type of other discomfort or anything like that, you know, make sure she wasn't like constantly like licking her leg, like, you know, something really bad ended up happening and she's in real pain, and she again wasn't. So again, I think that she just ended up doing something when she sort of jumped up onto the couch and yelped about it, and again maybe it was, you know, again made worse by the fact that my dad dad was like, you know, hey, knock it off, sort of thing. And at first that's what I thought too, because like I said, of where the situation sort of took place and what was happening and everything like that. But then again, I don't think that that's what happened. And then the puppies too are making it worse, because after she yelped, then they kept trying to go over to her to try and figure out like what was wrong. And so then too, we locked them out of the living room, and then they kept whining because they wanted to come back in and see her. And I think that was also making the situation worse too. Like, or you know, like maybe she thought that we thought that she had done something to them and then they were being punished for it, you know, or like something like that, or like they were being punished for something that like she thought that they did or something, you know. But their constant crying ended up making things, I think, worse, and made her really nervous too. So like I said, once we calmed everything down and realized that she was not in any type of pain or anything like that, then it was all good. But by that time it was sort of too late, and I'm like, I need to go to bed now. So I'm not editing anymore today, but I would have liked to have gotten to some, because normally over the weekend I don't edit. So that's why, although I'm caught up, like I only got like today's, you know, like one video done for today instead of, you know, the ones that I need to get caught up from the weekend, which is what I normally do. Like Monday and Tuesday I normally wind up editing, so now it's gonna have to be like Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think I didn't edit Friday of last week too, so now I'm gonna have to, I have like one extra one to edit as well anyway. So yeah guys, long story short, I'm either gonna have to do a lot tomorrow or just take a couple days. It's gonna have to be where I do like 2 videos a day that I have to edit. But anyways, I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.